Okay, back up and rolling here. This is the third, repeat, the third cluster of storms moving in. And I really shouldn't laugh. It's not funny. It's just an incredible pattern that we continue to have across the area. Right now, you're looking at live radar and just issued a brand new severe thunderstorm warning for most of the New River Valley, issued here at 7:53. That's going to include all of Wytheville down to Saltville. Um, the Morristown office out of Tennessee also keeping the 70-mile-per-hour wind threat held into Wise, but this also includes Hillsville, Freeze, and Independence. And that one just issued here, so let's take a look at it. By the way, I am detecting some rotation. This is a straight line wind event with notches of rotation around it on the what we call bookend vortices. This is in effect until 9 o'clock. Includes Pulaski, Wytheville, Galax, Marion, Hillsville, Saltville, Chilhowie. This is a particularly damaging wind threat. I've been looking on the radar screen at some of the velocities coming in from this area. And whenever you get out of the greens and get into the blues, that's some pretty strong wind. See if I can pop it up here. That's 60-mile-per-hour winds, 62-mile-per-hour winds. I know it's a little hard to see, but that's only at about 3,000 feet up. And all this wind's coming into Pearisburg and Giles County right now. This is likely some destructive wind. There's even some rotation indicated right there by the brighter twisting colors around Pearisburg on the 460 going into Pembroke. So that's the front edge of this storm velocity with this line that's occurring. If we look back at our correlation coefficient, we're going to look for debris here, and we can see some lowered colors showing up in the front edge of this. That's an indication that we may have some leaves and some small, relatively small debris. Where we see the gray and the dark black, that's calm wind. And where we get into the oranges here, that's where the wind is increasing in a real big hurry. We've got traffic cameras in this area. Looks like we are just getting dark. I'm going to try to find, well, I guess there's no weather in the tunnel, is it? I'm going to try to find some of these other cameras and see if we can find some of this active weather. And while I'm doing that, and while we're letting that load, we're getting more of the scanner traffic in the background. I just need to do this real fast. Just need to go on here to my personal page. And share this out. All right. Stand by here. We'll get going. Just a minute. One more page. Been a very active pattern. The jet stream really hasn't moved. It's in a position out of the northwest that's favoring heat to the south and moisture along it. Also, a lot of twisting going on in the atmosphere, especially in the mountains tonight as those south winds begin to collapse. And some of these streams are probably down because of the wind that's coming in through the New River Valley. It looks like Pearisburg is going to take this one on the chin. I think some pretty strong wind there is definitely a good call, putting out that severe thunderstorm warning. Now, if we look back at our reflectivity, we don't have anything yet going into Blacksburg. Any warnings up yet for Blacksburg? This warning is right now just on the edge of Pulaski. And I will say the stronger storms in terms of reflectivity, the stronger activities back here across Johnson City, Tennessee, where it looks like they're going to be dealing with about uh, an elevated severe weather threat. And you can see the camera here is rocking around pretty good. This is near the Holston River as this outflow comes on in from the north and hits the Bristol area pretty hard. Putting on a storm track here for you. We've got tops going up to about 18,000 feet for this one. It's heading out to the southeast at about, let's see, I believe it's 30 miles per hour. Just trying to get some imagery here. Just try to see if we've got anything going on. There's like some really strong activity in Smith County. We had a tornado warning earlier around Saltville and Chilhowie. This is the second. No tornado right now with this, but we do have just a lot of straight line wind. It's hard to see because it's in the dead zone of the radar velocity. Since the radar is in Floyd County over here, when the wind's coming in at a 90-degree angle, this is a dead zone because this is radial velocity. So now we've got what appears to be just lower than a severe thunderstorm warning, and that appears to be the good call here. It looks like this is just going to clip maybe the Roanoke Valley area and the Craig County and Blacksburg up into the Snowville, Reiner, Floyd area down to about Meadows of Dan. This is still going to be some gusty wind. We had that earlier in Roanoke where we didn't have any official warning, but we still had 30 to 40 mile per hour winds. And there's still some edge to this. In other words, we go from no wind to just 70 mile per hour winds there in the blue, and that can get things kind of turning and twisting a bit, especially if you have some rising air up in between it. You can see this radar loop where I had the computer off before. It's a little bit delayed, but that we had earlier, that tornado warning was in Buchanan County, just north and west of Richlands. That has since expired, but we've got trees down reported in the Tazewell and Russell County and Washington County, several trees down from this. A few down trees, Castlewood area, far southwest Virginia. So this is one of many clusters that we're going to have for the next couple of days. It's heading more toward Smith County, but a lot of wind where you see it kind of bowed out here. There's probably a shelf cloud in Pulaski going into Wytheville. We put the velocities on. And most of that wind is coming right at the Blacksburg, Floyd County radar out of Giles County, and it may be a little bit off the ground. Luckily, we're heading into the evening. Like yesterday, we were heading right into the 4 or 5 o'clock time frame, and we had all that heat that really got things going and brought that wind down to the surface, and that's what we don't like to see. This is our damaging wind product here from Barron Services on my ThreatNet radar. And I'm going over to Moorestown because when the wind comes directly at the radar, this particular product does fairly well. The orange polygons are severe thunderstorm warnings, and you can see them in effect. But right now we're concentrating, there's the, at the top of the screen there, the legend. This is your damaging wind potential. It is moderate wherever you see anything or any green on the screen. So this is down around the Kingsport area, but if you have plans down the interstate, it's a rough go right now as this line continues to come through. It had earlier 80 mile per hour winds up around Jackson and Danville, Kentucky. This one's dropping south, and it will be approaching the 1923 and Interstate 26 area down toward I-40 in Asheville if it holds together later on tonight. But for this particular um, event, this particular cluster, we've got a couple of alerts to tell you about. Just in general, we've got a severe thunderstorm watch in effect until 2 o'clock in the morning for most of the area here along and west of the Roanoke Valley and the northwest North Carolina. This will probably get shaved back a bit unless upstream development continues to occur and moves back in. And we've also got a flash flood watch in effect for most of the area. It's a flood watch in effect until 8 a.m. on the 13th, and that's 8 a.m. Thursday. My mind today is just overloaded with weather information. All right, so this is the outlook. Let's see what's upstream, and I'm going to put this in motion. This is the past few hours, and everything on the screen is a 1-hour composite of rotation and damaging wind. This is the smoothed version, but it gives you a good idea. I like to overlay things like this just to kind of show you what the Storm Prediction Center has. This is where our jet stream is coming down and where the storms are actually tapping the jet stream and pulling part of the jet stream farther south. You can see how with time, each of these tend to go to the south, and that's what we get from these storm clusters. However, the stronger winds can sometimes move a little bit farther east, and as the jet stream continues to kind of ride in little ridges and troughs across the northern Great Lakes, we get these little fronts that will reorient basically this zone. So this zone, like tomorrow, is going to go a little bit farther south, but then it may return north by Friday. So we could be in for a little bit of a break, at least for northern areas, coming up tomorrow into Wednesday into Thursday. But by Friday, I think we need to watch out again as the actual front itself moves back in. But this shows the highest risk of damaging wind there from Charleston all the way to Beckley. At the moment, the highest risk is right out in front of this line where the warnings are in effect. But you can see the upstream development back across Louisville. It looks like that's going to move more south into the night tonight. Let's check out some of these winds coming toward the Blacksburg radar. Still at 57 miles per hour, 53 miles per hour in Giles County, but I believe that's just off the ground. I haven't heard anything on the scanner too severe yet. We'll put this back in motion. And we had winds blowing, well, that's the range folding, but we had very high winds with this as it was coming in. It even confused the radar there for a second. That's range folding. There you see in purple, that's just noise. But you can kind of get an idea of these winds not too far off the ground at about 2,000 or 3,000 feet up. And the idea is if you get some kind of heavy rain to bring that down to the surface, that's when you run into trouble. Take this image back. This is roadway threats here. Hail in the pink areas, stronger winds there in the blue, lightning in the yellow. I know it's a choppy looking map, but this will show me areas of twisting storms if they should develop. Luckily, it looks like this line is running out of fuel. That makes sense because, as I'll show you here in a second, I will show you right now. This is the convective available potential energy. Basically, it's how much upward current we can get going in some of these storms. How much heat, how much humidity, how much buoyancy does that air want to rise? The problem for the tornadic activity that we've seen today, the potential tornadic activity, isn't the stable air itself. It's the edge of the stable air. We've got wind out of the south and out of the west out ahead of this line. It's reverting back to the south and west with the next line. And as we go through the night tonight, you can see those areas where we do have the rain-cooled air and the blue contours there, keeping everything kind of calm. But if you go up a little bit, we've got what I call upper level instability, elevated instability, a little bit of that coming through as well. So we look at how much wind shear is around, and it's pretty high wind shear because of that. Let's show it to you here. Nope, right there. Wind out of the north and out of the east across a good part of Virginia. Cooler, that's kept the storms this evening from going too severe. Still pretty strong. And we've got a little meso low down here with this actual complex of storms. Put the radar up there. You can see it right there. So that's following basically a lot of wind shear, speed shear, and directional shear. And you can see the WRAP forecast showing 30 to 40 knot shear through the night tonight, but the instability goes down. So our supercell composite should remain pretty low tonight, but out across West Virginia, we've got still a threat of rotation with anything that may develop back across there. But the higher tornado threat is indeed back across northeast Tennessee. The infrared satellite picture is pretty impressive. Any weather app you use that has that satellite on it, especially the meso sector, is going to look really impressive, especially if you back it up like a couple of days. You'll be able to see each one of these storm clusters move on through. This is the one that moved through this afternoon down around Charlotte. There's actually one from overnight that's made it all the way down across this ridge that's back here, moving clockwise. This is the ring of fire we hear about. We're in the ring. And so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 clusters to watch. The good news is right now I do see trends for things further south. That's where most of the lightning is, back across Kentucky. This is where some rotation just popped up now to the south and to the west of Louisville, but still some stronger thunderstorm activity. Let me show you the radar picture now. These storms are moving at a really fast clip. Let's see, they're moving at 47 miles per hour to the south and to the east. So that momentum alone may cause a lot of straight line wind to possibly bring down some tree limbs and maybe some weaker trees, especially around Galax. This is where we still have warnings up for Galax into Wytheville and the Grayson County once again. And that goes into Carroll County and Hillsville up to about Pulaski for this line that weakens considerably as you move a little further to the north, but still rather strong. Now it's approaching Sparta, North Carolina, and the Boone and West Jefferson, Lansing, Damascus, Mountain City. I'm really concerned about the mountains too because they stick up further, and even despite that lower cape, we still have some elevated cape and elevated wind right off the surface. That's causing some damage already, and I feel like we're going to see more of that in the night tonight for those areas. Actually, in the meantime, meaning right now through the next hour or two. So this is our exclusive product here. It's going to fast forward the radar over the next hour or two. We'll go from 8:20, hits Galax around 9:30. Should weaken as it moves into Patrick County. This would put some more rain moving into Roanoke by around 9:45 or 10. But yeah, the good news is that east side there has definitely collapsed. Probably brought some strong wind down as it did so, but the unstable air is what's going to fuel all this stuff coming through Johnson City. So if you know anybody in Johnson City, they're about to get hit pretty hard. This puts it in Johnson City between 9 and 9:05, clearing that area by 10 or 10:15. This is a 5-minute update. It looks at the radar speed. It's developed by MIT. They look at basically a growth decay algorithm, and it puts everything in motion based on that. So it's not even a computer model, it's more of just a eyeballing. And it's pretty accurate because you don't want to go out too far with this, but you can tell the next hour or two what's going to be happening. You can see there an upstream disturbance by around 1020 coming through the central Kentucky area. But I think that's going to be more of a problem for Knoxville because I think everything farther south and west will be hit as we head into the night tonight. Don't want to ignore the flash flood threat. The risk is elevated here in the yellow, and you can see all these red polygons or burgundy polygons from London, Kentucky, up around Charleston. Not so much in the Virginia because the storms have been moving. They've been blowing through really fast. But where they connect, they kind of hand off to the next cluster. And I mentioned holding hands from one cluster to the other. This is what I'm talking about, this area right through there. Luckily, not too much in the West Virginia right now. But I think the rest of the week we'll have to watch that potential. So this is a computer model. I think a new run is coming in. And let's just check things out. Looks like it's got the first complex a little too far north. But this is going to give us a general idea of what goes on through the night tonight. That 4 o'clock a.m. line may be further south. Either way, it's probably going to wake you up somewhere in Southwest Virginia. And again, the trend will be for the mountains, the New River Valley, and mainly far Southwest Virginia from the Mountain Empire in Northeast Tennessee around Wise and into Pikeville, Kentucky. That's the main area I think is going to get hit here in the near term, and then again overnight tonight from the soon to be fourth and fifth complex of storms. Everything shifts a little further south. I don't know if you can see it here, but we go from getting things coming into our area to back out across the Ohio Valley into the Tennessee Valley. But we still get the tops of these disturbances, and because we could see some sunshine filter back, that could actually create a weird situation where the actual disturbance, the main cluster, goes to our south, but we redevelop our own storms, fresh storms, that develop discretely on their own because of the instability. That's something to watch, particularly, I think, for Thursday. So we'll take you through the model here. And again, tomorrow may be quiet for most of us. But models do have a very hard time in this particular pattern because it's hard to really see these clusters until they really develop. Mathematically, you're looking at derivatives and three-dimensional calculus as to what's actually happening in the atmosphere, and that's just an approximation. So we're doing a lot of math here trying to look at things, but using our own eyesight too to nearcast or nowcast. I'm going to keep storms in the forecast for our Wednesday, but I don't have a red box, so I don't have an alert day up. But I think by Thursday evening, we'll have to watch our area once again because by that point we should be getting unstable and things will be back tracking further north and east, moving in from the north and west. And you can see it right there. So I do think the Thursday afternoon evening time frame, there's a few discrete individual cells here by 6 on Thursday. We may get a chance to dry out some and clean up some of this damage tomorrow for Wednesday. And then Friday, I'm very concerned, even though the model doesn't show much, there is a backdoor front that's going to come through that's going to enhance the shear. It's the actual front this time, not just the boundary from one of the storm clusters. And that does two things. It really enhances the severe threat, I think, for Friday and the flash flood threat because we'll have more moisture building ahead of it. But behind it, we finally get a little bit of a clear spot here from Richmond and Fredericksburg. I was about to say our area, but this could get hung up in the mountains. And so it's another situation where it's going to be relatively stable from DC to probably Lynchburg, Richmond, and Norfolk. But right there along the spine of the mountains here, this is, again, Saturday evening. We're going to see things return eventually, especially by Monday. So the front kind of goes through the area, comes back, and goes through. If I put things in motion here, you can see that. Let me show you. Instead of talking about it, let me show you. When we look at CAPE, we're literally looking at fuel. And when you animate it on a computer model, it actually looks like fire. And it basically is. All right, we put that up, and let's let this animate on through, just so you can see how things shift back to the southwest, then back to the north, then back south again. And notice right along the boundary, things get really enhanced. You have moisture that pulls up. And then look what happens with each individual storm complex. It uses that energy up. So we're pretty turned over and worked over into Virginia. That's why these storms have been collapsing as they've come off the mountains. But as we go into the next couple of days, this boundary and the timing of each disturbance will be something that could put us in jeopardy again by maybe Saturday night. Before that, maybe Thursday night. But that's subject to change. It does look like right there we get some meager instability. And then it comes back Thursday evening. Thursday night, more storms. Friday could be very active, I think. And that front tries to get through maybe the east half of the area, maybe a little more calm than the west half. I'm getting more concerned for flash flooding, especially in the mountains coming up for Friday, maybe even Thursday too. But thankfully, the speed of the storms has been such that we don't have a lot of flooding concerns that widespread anyway. Put some values down here. We'll look at the projected rainfall. Now this is going to change. There's going to be some areas with a lot more rain. This is just to give you an overview. And the reason for that is the model is unable to grab the finer details of these heavier downpours. Anytime you get warm season storms or convection, you're going to have areas that get swamped, and that's just a few miles up the road. We're talking about really tiny movements up in the cloud that can, via physics and thermodynamics and kinematics and all that fun stuff that we study in meteorology. Basically, what it means is your buddy up the street may get flooded by 5 or 6 inches of rain, and some of you know what I'm talking about, right? Mount Airy area, yeah. And then right up the street, only a trace, if that. Some people like to color in coloring books. My mom loves that. I like placing down data points and watching models, computer models, not models. Trying to lighten the mood because it is a potentially serious setup again as we go into the rest of the week. This is in slower motion here. I'm putting it through Wednesday now, Wednesday night. You can see scant amounts, just a few hundredths of an inch in general along and east of the Roanoke Valley, because whatever storms will be more scattered, they'll be moving faster. As we head toward Friday and the Saturday, you're probably going to see the NRV and I-77 area light up with some heavier rainfall amounts. I think the models are underdone for Friday's rain. and they're picking up on Saturday as well. Notice these amounts really going up for Saturday. I knew it would do that because it's grabbing one of those disturbances. Sometimes the models grab these very well, sometimes they are off. But look at the amounts here in West Virginia. Near Oak Hill, if you went right off the model, near Rainelle, 2.4 inches, 5 inches right up the street. Mount Hope, 1.4. Union, 2.4 inches. Roanoke, half inch to an inch, maybe. It's going to depend on exactly where the individual storms track. They'll be less solid, less of a cluster, more of a scattered nature to them. For the next couple of days, I think, again, we get a little chance to dry out for Wednesday. And then for Thursday, maybe starting out kind of quiet. By Thursday night, I think everything returns. Temperatures have been tricky. It's been up in the 90s earlier today in Danville, and it was only in the 70s in the New River Valley. And that's because you have to figure that some of these prior clusters are coming through and they're cooling the air down. Depending on the timing of what cloud cover they produce, they can knock about 20 degrees off your high temperature potential. But if you are in the sunshine like we were yesterday, by mid-afternoon when those storms came in, we had 95-degree air to work in. So I've been going mid to upper 80s for most, a few lower 90s for south side. Heavily dependent on the timing, if the storms come through in the day or at night. Overall, tonight's going to be pretty warm. We're only going to be in the 70s for overnight lows. That's pretty remarkable. That's going to be because of cloud cover. You're probably going to have some light to moderate patchy rain, maybe some embedded thunder. The severe threat will remain in place for the mountains, I think. But then for the rest of us, not so much. But by Wednesday afternoon, the only thing I'm worried about is if we get too much sunshine. We can have more of that cape around, more of that fuel. You can see high temperatures up basically averaging 90 for Wednesday afternoon. You can see the effect of it thinking there's storm clusters around. Thursday morning lows, again, lower 70s to upper 60s in the mountains. And Thursday afternoon, Thursday will be a hot day, I think. And that's why I am concerned about if there's another time to watch, I think it's Thursday evening for the whole area. You can see those storms come in and cool you off pretty fast. Thursday evening, probably have some dense fog around in the Friday morning. And again, lows only in the mid 70s Friday morning. And Friday afternoon, a hot, hot day. If this verifies, if we get back to 96 degrees in Campbell County near Brookneal, in the Bonita, and 96 in Roanoke in the city, 89 in Floyd, you can bet there's going to be some strong to severe storms Friday by the end of the day. But the good news is, right now, this is your energy for the storms. It's elongated pretty much through central Kentucky, right now moving out of Tennessee down to around Charlotte. There is some energy that's available if something already moves in to maintain it for a little while. That's elevated. But here where you see the ugly smiley face and the blue contours, that is stable air. That means when it rises, it falls right back down. And that's good if you don't want storms. This is the spin I was talking about, though. The spin's over. It's just we're we're pretty much rained out, believe it or not, from all the cloud cover. The tornado threat's right here, right now. Knoxville, Nashville. I'd watch that area through Illinois as well. Could be looking at an overnight flash flood event. And when we talk about that, let me put up the past 24 hours of rainfall. Really tells the story of how the storms were more wind makers. Our derecho in 2012 did that. Remember, it came in and dried up, but the wind held together. But just in 24 hours, we've had 2 to 5 inches in West Virginia of rain. And it's starting to get in that 2-inch range in Kentucky. But West Virginia is pretty soaked. So that's why the flood watch is in effect for most of the area, except for eastern parts of the area. But these are the previous 24 hours of rainfall. National blend of models real quick before I sign off and try to get some more rest. I'm trying to sleep in between these. Storm clusters. I have given myself some kind of bursitis in my delt, believe it or not, in my shoulder. You know what that's from? On my phone trying to type these posts up really quick. Believe it or not, I tense up because of my anxiety, and it feels like when I injured at weightlifting, I think there's still a little bit of injury there. But it feels like when that pouch, that bursitis comes apart and hits a nerve or gets inflamed. So the left hand where I hold my cell phone, so I'm putting some torque on the shoulder. This is time at the top of the screen. This is the storm now. I get it pretty much dwindles apart. That's good news. Most of Wednesday looks dry. Something's going to come through Wednesday evening. So we've got some instability. We may have some scattered storms around. This is an average of 155 different computer models. So you're not going to see individual storms, but I just want to see if there's any trend. And the trend is drier air is to the north of us and more stable air right now. Wednesday night, Thursday, that's mainly just a little rain. It doesn't go out beyond that. But the HRRR does. Got a good, this updates every hour, so it's pretty good. This is the disturbance right now. Notice what happens overnight. This is around midnight to 2 a.m. You get more development back here in the West Virginia. And again, flash flooding, I cannot emphasize it enough. This is a high potential or high risk, conditional potential for extreme flash flooding. It's a similar setup to 2016. We'll pray it's not that bad or anywhere close to it. But when you get these bands on the models that look like that, those are 4 to 5 inch per hour rainfall rates. And notice they don't move much overnight. So I think Kentucky and the West Virginia, perhaps West Virginia into the mountains, hopefully the stable air will hold off the heavier rates, but we'll have to watch flash flooding. What's happening is we're trying to bring the unstable air back into the stable air. So this is the battle zone. Each disturbance, as long as the jet stream's parked where it is, we continue to get these disturbances every 6 to 8 hours. Now this indicates maybe some clouds and weaker storms around in the morning tomorrow. And another model that's going for the calmer day tomorrow afternoon and evening for Wednesday. Wednesday night, some storms try to get going. This only goes out 48 hours. It's your radar composite. Definitely the trend's been in our favor. Some spots can still use some of this rain, but it's going to fall apart more than likely. So watch this one band here from Louisville to Bowling Green to Knoxville. This area right in there could work back to the north a bit overnight, and that would put the flash flood threat back closer into the Mountain Empire, far southwest Virginia. Most of your really severe stuff's going to be there, it looks like. This is the tornado threat today. And again, it's been with us in the mountains throughout the day because of that instability gradient. Today into tonight. Then tomorrow, we're not in slight risk anymore. We're in, well, more of a marginal risk for severe storms. But the zone's still pretty close. It looks like it's going to be, again, further south. Then on Thursday, a pretty calm day, but notice the zone goes back to the north. And that may set up some active weather again by the time we go into Friday. You can see the outflow boundary still made it through Galax. They have a gust to 21 knots. You know what happened? I streamed and it fell apart. So that's the good news. But yeah, I do think the Morristown area into the mountains of North Carolina still see a severe threat with this. And I'm going to be putting my Patreon and my 7-day together right after the stream. And I think I'm going to give us a bit of a break tomorrow, part of Thursday, and bring back the severe threat Thursday and the Friday. The only thing about tomorrow that could go wrong, if you're looking for a break, is the fact the front itself is still to the north. And again, any sunshine we get could ignite something tomorrow. Overall, the chances, I think, are lower. By Thursday and a Thursday night, the Weather Prediction Center agrees with the thinking I've got, is that Thursday may start off okay, but by Thursday evening, that moisture and instability, it's going to come back because of this low in Ohio. And you see another one back here across Kansas. So everything's kind of coming up and over this heat dome down here to the south across the southern states. Friday is the day to really watch. You haven't heard about a lot about Friday yet because we haven't really timed out everything. But right now, Friday is consistently looking like a day that will feature a backdoor front interacting with a little low and the whole jet stream over us. There'll be a lot of wind shear Friday and flash flooding potential Friday. Saturday, the front gets hung up in the mountains. So the mountains really do stand a chance of seeing kind of a prolonged flood threat. Sunday and the Monday, another front comes down, and it's because there's another one in Canada. The jet stream's doing this. It's coming down across the um, Great Lakes, basically. And for this point in the summer, it's been doing this since January. We've just embedded the heat with it now. But these repeated fronts bring down that severe weather, bring that zone down for us. The NAM also has a redevelopment tonight of a fourth line, but that one's going to probably miss us. This is tonight, midnight to 6 a.m. or so. May clip Withville or Saltville. Overall, pretty low coverage. Wednesday and even Thursday, but we do have some renegade stuff around late in the day Thursday. Thursday night, we start to sneak in some activity Thursday night into Friday. Doesn't quite get us into Friday with this particular model run, but look at the lower resolution one, see if it has anything. It's got another cluster coming through, but mainly to the south and west. I don't know about that. This is the Euro. Get the time there. This is in Z time. So it's 8 a.m. Friday. So we put the front going right in the Roanoke about 10, 11 o'clock Friday. I don't know if it makes it that fast south. If it does, it looks like a second, it's like 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon of storm clusters Friday. And yeah, this is what I've been looking at. The Euro's got the front making it through and lining up about where the instability gradient is right now. So that would keep Saturday maybe cloudy, perhaps a bit rainy, far southwest Virginia, but maybe just partly sunny for folks out around Buckingham County, Dillon, Arrington, Nelson County. And then here comes the next front. That one's got more get up and go with it. It comes through Monday. Show you this jet stream I've been telling you about. This is the top right of the bubble ridge here that we've got over us. I'll show you. So that's the heat dome. The top of the heat. That's actually normal for summer, these complexes. What's abnormal, how much wind we've got through here because of this trough. This cool air that's up here keeps wanting to come down. And what it does is it forces the actual jet stream further south into our area. So when the storm clusters move in, they've got extra support, extra instability because of that. You can see the jet gets pretty strong over the northeast. If you know anybody from DC up to New England, looks like Thursday, Friday are going to be big weather days too up there. And we get on the act as well. The heat builds back pretty fast, so if we do have the front coming south Saturday, it's going to return north for Sunday and the Monday, and it keeps wanting to repeat. This is Monday and the Tuesday. Another active day potentially on Monday. Or, I'm sorry, that one's Monday. This one is next. My sister's birthday. Thursday, the 20th of August. And then by the 26th, that upper low, is that serious? This is like fall. That's incredible if that actually verifies. That would bring more severe weather with it by the 26th, which is Dad's birthday. All right, I'm going to sign off for the night. I think we're okay for most of the area. Got a little hairy there a little earlier in the mountains, but a chance to kind of breathe a little bit as we go into the day tomorrow for our Wednesday. Be on guard. Thursday night and the Friday, things come back perhaps with more severity.